Hey fan peeps, this is your podcast host Kunal here. I started this during the pandemic, and in this podcast I discuss my nerdy thoughts and hobbies with you, with the occasional special guest. From anime to Zeppelins, we talk about it all. Hello my friends, hope you're doing well. I feel like it's never a peaceful time, but that is definitely life, I guess. There's no time of complete stillness, which is good because that kind of keeps life interesting, but annoying as hell because it's hard to focus on anything. We make the best of it, no matter what. I just want to give you a little taste, a little something of my thoughts recently. Specifically around Harry Potter. And I have friends in the queer community. Technically, I am part of that as well. I'm not completely straight. And I don't think I revealed that in the podcast. But if you've been reading between the lines, you probably saw it coming. A number of my friends know about it too. When I was growing up, I didn't feel like I was just right. Definitely have been attracted to more women, and I am attracted to women more, but I mean, there were many times where I wanted to make out with some of my male friends and I couldn't explain why. Really only started looking into that recently. Still a lot of weird fear, even at like 30 years old, of what that means. But I am detracting to myself a little bit on this, so I digress. I grew up loving Harry Potter. I absolutely adored it, and it's a real shame that if everything that J.K. Rowling has said about trans people it's really disappointing, honestly, because I remember very, 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 very fondly growing up with those books, and yeah, there were times where I was like, this doesn't make any sense. If this is supposed to be Harry, like in the 1980s England, where are all the Indian people? All right. There's a lot of classism, racism. One of the characters' names is Cho Chang, for God's sake. Which is basically just two Asian names smashed together with no second thought whatsoever. So there were always problems. There were always things going on. I can't speak for the trans community, but I do have a friend that is trans. I want to, of course, protect them and everything like that. And what I'm talking about in this recording is basically like my thoughts on it and what it makes me think of. I don't want to detract away from any kind of violence that happens to the trans community, and especially with the anti-trans bills that are going around. I vehemently am sick to hear that, and I'm kind of dumbfounded that they're even happening in the first place. These are just more my thoughts of what it makes me think about other issues. So I do want to make that absolutely clear. It's really hard when people make something that really means a lot to you as a kid. And you get older and you hear more about them, and it makes it hard to love that thing. I mean, think about watching The Cosby Show, think about Michael Jackson and his music and his effect on music to this day. Think about, I don't know, just pretty much any artist. James Brown, I heard, was a wife beater. Only in the past couple of decades have we really become so self-reflective, and especially with social media. Now, granted, it takes it to a granular point that can be very harmful, and I've talked about these themes in past episodes, but something that's been really kind of bothering me has been kind of the Hogwarts thing, and I've seen a different take as well. I've seen people say, like some people say completely, don't buy it. You'll be going against trans people if you do it. And then some people are like, you know what, it's not really gonna change the status quo that much. Just go ahead and get it. No one really wins in a capitalist system. We all kind of lose. And I see both of them, and and I really kind of I respect both of them, honestly. I did play the game at someone's house, and it was a lot of fun, and it made me feel like a kid again. It's really hard because we all want to do the right thing, and I think that's what it really comes down to. It's like, how do you reconcile that with yourself? How do you reconcile that with your friends and people who you truly care about what they think? Because to say that you don't care about what anyone thinks is just a fucking lie. I really don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. The only thing I can say is basically what I plan on doing is like I actually don't plan on spending money to buy it. To be quite honest with you, um, I don't really think it truly will affect things in the grand scheme. I don't know how much money J.K. Rowling will truly get from this. I do know that part of this seems the claims against it being anti-trans and supporting anti-trans sentiment and goals. I totally hear that argument, but I also want to posit one thing as well. You have to level the playing field if you really want to do that too. And if that's the case, then you should shut down the Lord of the Rings TV shows that are on right now. Immediately. Yes, I know that they have far more diversity in the shows, but Tolkien was highly racist. I mean, name me one dark character that isn't evil, and I'll buy you lunch. I don't know. And it's easier with Tolkien because he's dead, and J.K. Rowling is still very much alive, and it seems like we're more in the fight with that whole situation. Like we could do some potential change with that, and that's valid. I don't think that's wrong. But I also think that people get very selective with what they want to change. And that's kind of the problem. If you truly want change, and I mean truly want change for everyone to feel not excluded and everything, then you have to make it inclusive for everyone. Cherry picking what you want to do just creates more exclusivity. It doesn't help really. Doesn't help the problem. Now, sure, it's hard to do everything in one fell swoop, but I also feel like no one. Every time I bring that up to my friends about the point I make about Tolkien, I kind of get blank stares, and I understand because they don't really know what to say. But the fact that I get blank stares is typically from people who of European descent. I mean, they have widespread fiction that everyone knows in their country and culture that everyone loves. But on the other hand, I mean, name me someone who knows who Lakshman and Lord Ravan are, and I'll buy you lunch at like a St. Louis deli or something. I don't know. I'm buying everyone lunch today, and you get lunch, and you get lunch, and you get lunch. Again, like I can't really go to a lot of different. I always feel weird when people say like, oh, let's go to the Renaissance Fair, and I, as a history guy, I love the Renaissance Fair, but like, it's always stuff that I will never have any emotional or cultural connection to. None of those people reflect me or look like me, and it's hard. Because whenever I see anything that has European or based mythology, I often don't know what to really do with that. I love it. I respect it. I find it interesting. But none of those pictures or depictions like show anything that looks like me. And I don't. And it's there's room for both. There really are. I don't think that you have to choose. You shouldn't have to. But I mean, I would love a couple more options. That would be great. I mean, that truly would be diversity, wouldn't it? Yeah. Anyhow, just some half-baked thoughts on some ideas that I think would be really good, and just maybe wanted to share some of my struggles of where things are. As for Hogwarts, I see both sides. I really, really do, and I'm not trying to be unknowingly neutral. I really respect people what they choose on this decision because I get it. I really do. And I don't really have an answer, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either. I think that is a sign of more discussion to be had. And that we have to remember that people who make things and do things are people and flawed in everything that they do. Again, it's easier when they're dead and gone because then there's really no war to be fought. We're only left with the consequences of what they've done, and there's really no one to take to justice for it. And how do you take them to justice? That's the bigger question too. I feel like that. Yeah, I'll leave you with that thought. You guys take care. Hey fan peeps, thanks for listening, and I'd love any feedback you have for me. Please follow the Facebook page, They Need a Hobby, and follow us everywhere, social media wise, under the handle @TNAHpod. That goes for Twitter and Instagram, and one of these days, I'll be super popular.